ladies and gentlemen, we're back once again with Coach Chris Leinart to kind of wrap up our 2017 football season and look forward to 2018, which I think is going to be a very exciting time. So welcome back, Coach Leinart. Anything you want to start off with today?
I just kind of maybe go back and recap the season as a whole, maybe to start with. And I think one thing that we really need to emphasize to start with is where we've come as a program in the last 4 years. And I'll give you just a brief example as we start. I got an email last week from maybe the longest tenured teacher at Lawrence High School about the improvement of the behavior of our players in the time they've been at that school, which is close to 30 years, and how much better it is now than maybe it's ever been. And I think that's something exciting, and certainly when you struggled throughout the year, it's nice to hear those type things, and I do believe that, and our staff believes that. Is something we've talked about extensively. Is if you're trying to build a program, you build it with the intangibles, and you again trying to build it on the rock and not in the sand. And a lot of those things don't show up on the scoreboard, unfortunately, and a lot of times that's how most folks measure your success is wins and losses. But we are doing a lot of things really well, and that's a tribute to we've got a great staff. We've got a great group of kids. We've got a tremendous amount of support from you folks, and all the things that it takes to make it happen on Friday night. And again, this sounds like maybe a little crazy even, but we're really close to being very good. And a lot of the pieces of the puzzle are in place. A lot of the things that you got to do in order to be successful at a high level are going on. Again, unfortunately, that in this case this year didn't necessarily show up on the scoreboard. We had to play a lot of young kids, and we knew this coming into the year. We lost a tremendous amount of talent. But again, some of the things we're very proud of. We've got 37 kids in college right now. 11 of them are playing college football over the last 3 years, and this year we'll add a couple more to that group. And so a lot of those type things that you look at when you're trying to gauge your success level as a program, and not just necessarily as the one-loss record for this particular year, we feel very positive about, and we look forward to continuing to move forward in that direction. And we believe that the things we've put in place are going to equate to more victories, and not just moral victories. And that's exciting. And we started 10th graders our last game, which wasn't pretty again, but we were able to get a lot of young guys experience. We had a lot of seniors. We started out with about 27 seniors and ended the season with 25, which is really good. Had about 145 kids in the program. Our JV team was very successful this year. Our 9th grade team got a lot better as the year went on. We're playing really good football at the end of the year. Again, we've got a lot of really good coaches in place that are doing an outstanding job for Lawrence, and so we're excited. Again, this year wasn't what we wanted, and we're not going to make any excuses for it. We were not very good, and a lot of that, there's a laundry list of reasons. Part of that was our just lack of experience at the varsity level, because we only had maybe 5 or 6 kids that had ever played a varsity down that started for us, and and that combined with maybe one of the tougher schedules in the state, doesn't equate to a whole lot of scoreboard success. And but that's not how we measure it. At times we know where we are, who we are, and what we need to do going forward, and we're looking forward to that challenge. And we're excited about 2018, and think things are really headed in the right direction.
Coach, I just want to say, from my perspective as district athletic director, I see the character that you build into your players, and I see the fine young men that you are producing, and I really appreciate that. And I don't ever measure a coach by wins and losses, but by what I see in the players, and how they behave and how they react to adversity, and all of those things. I think I saw tremendous responses from your team this year, despite the difficult circumstances, and I have every bit of faith in you and in the young men that you work with, that you will be successful, even if it's not on the football field. those young men will be successful in life, and that's really what the ultimate goal is.
And I think that's our number one responsibility as coaches, and certainly appreciate that. And that's awesome to hear that. But that's what we do, and I tell them that all the time. When I'm standing at the pearly gates, what I'm going to be measured by is how and as our staff, the reflection of me amongst the coaches that we have around us is, what did we do for you to help you get there with us all together at some point? And that's what we do. We try our best. We do a lot of things that, we don't necessarily publicize and don't, because that's not why we do it. And, we love the way we, interact with our guys. We treat our guys just like they're our sons. And I think if you talk to our players, as disappointing as it may have been to, I met with our seniors yesterday, and I told them, I said, guys, I understand this is not what we wanted for this to be your last year, but at the same point in time, I think 10 years from now, when you reflect back on your time at Lawrence High School, that you will understand that a lot of the seeds that were planted will help you become better dads, better sons, better fathers, better brothers, to your family. And I think that's the piece that sometimes gets lost now when everybody's being measured by wins and losses. And nobody wants to win more than I do. I understand that I have 14 guys and their families that, to consider when we do things. And, so there's a lot of pressure for us to win because we want things to be right. We want our guys to be together and to not feel, nervous about their job or nervous about any of that type stuff. And so, and our guys understand that. I don't sleep at night when we win. Sometimes a lot of our guys, they'll go find their girlfriend and hug and kiss them. But I can't stand to lose. And I told them that. I said, nobody wants to win more than I do. I promise you that. And it's for you first and foremost, but also because there's a lot of other things and a lot of families and their children to consider as well. So, I think, again, when our guys look back on their time here, they're going to smile. And as a coach, I don't think it gets any better than that.
Coach, let's talk about moving forward into 2018-19, and let's start just talking about the realignment and the fact that we're going to be playing in an 8-team region next year, and how's that going to impact the program?
Well, it certainly makes scheduling a little bit easier. You've only got 3 non-region games to play with, and and that's difficult. And the more you talk about that, again, it kind of sounds like sour grapes. But Lawrence High School and some others that are kind of similar to us have been put in a very difficult situation. It would kind of be like walking over to Furman's football coach today and says, what, next year y'all going to play in the Atlantic Coast Conference, and there's nothing you can do about it. So you can whine and complain about it, or you can just try to find a way to make it work. And we choose the latter. We understand the situation and the difficulty that presents us, but there's nothing you can do about it. So you just waste a lot of time and energy dwelling on it. And we feel like that no matter what we're presented, we can find a way to make it work, and that's how we approach it. And we've already started discussing on what style offense and defense. What do we got to change? What do we got to do in order to allow ourselves a chance to be competitive? I think you look at TL Hanna High School has gone from a doormat to an undefeated team this year, as we speak, and they only play 17 players. They only have 32 people on their varsity squad. They have found a formula that works at that school, and I believe every school has a formula that will work if you keep trying different things and keep working on ways to go about that. I think there isn't a ceiling for success at Lawrence. I think we're going to bust through that ceiling at some point, and it's our job to keep working and trying to find ways to do that. And that's something we've already started discussing on what would give us the best opportunity to continue doing the things we mentioned earlier, but also to give our guys the best chance to win on Friday nights. And that's exciting. That's a lot of fun. We're going to do a lot of off-season work, and we do every year. Sometimes it ends up working, sometimes it doesn't. And there's a lot of variables in that with injuries and just who you play. Lawrence is in a difficult situation because of where we're geographically situated when you're doing scheduling. Your Greenville County schools won't play you because they have some kind of unwritten rule that they have to play each other. Your Columbia area schools have a 50-mile radius that they can't exceed. So you get stuck not being able to find a non-region opponent. So I was very excited when they went to the 8-team region, because it is hard. You know, that's why we ended up with Bowling Springs and Dorman and those guys, because nobody wants to play them. So we ended up having to play them, because I called every school in Greenville County, every school in, you know, within a 75-mile radius, and they were already full. And and then again, that makes it tough, and sometimes it makes us have to play maybe a larger number of opponents that most schools wouldn't even consider playing. And you know, I do kind of like it in a way that we don't shy away from them. You know, I don't know why you would, but you know, that's just kind of where we are. But with the 8-team region, we've already done our non-region schedule. We're excited about that. We're going to continue to play Hillcrest. I think that's a great natural rival. We're going to play Myrtle Beach. Have always wanted to do that. You know, travel to the coast, and you know, they're a perennial, really good 4A football team. It's where they host the North-South game. They will actually come here next year, and we will travel there in 2019. So we've signed a 2-year contract with them, and then of course Clinton will be still our first game. So, you know, doesn't get much easier, but you know, going into the 8-team region, it's a lot of familiar faces with Hannah and Westside and Easley and those guys that, you know, Lawrence has always been in a conference with for most of the years of the school's existence. So it's going back to just some old turf, you know, some old stomping grounds that Lawrence played for. You know, when we first got here, that was the region that we were in. So we're excited about it. You know, it's a little bit different. You know, there won't be a Malden. Some of those people will be gone. Greenwood's still in the conference, so it'll still be a very formidable conference from top to bottom.
Well, you still have some really good teams in that non-region schedule.
Absolutely.
You're going to have the level of competition that you've used the last couple of years to kind of get the team prepared. Win or lose in those games, it gives them an opportunity to really play at a different level. It
does. And that can be a double-edged sword. You know, you want some confidence, you know, because sometimes we're not as bad as our record indicates. You know, this year we were an average football team that played a great schedule. You know, the year before we were a really good team that played a ridiculously hard schedule. And sometimes that means 6-6, 7-4, whatever. If you play a little bit lighter schedule, which a lot of coaches choose to do, you're 9-1. And you know, I measure our progress by what I know is to be true, and when you play tougher teams, it makes you better.
Coach, one last question for you. Let's talk about, if you don't mind, some of the players that are coming back next year that the fans will be looking for and expecting some great things from next year.
Well, you know, and that's what really gives us hope. You know, Deontay Smith, 3-year starter. Dwayne Martin, 3-year starter. Ryan Campbell, 3-year starter, and those guys will just be juniors. You know, we had Cade Thompson as a sophomore punt for us, and he'll end up playing linebacker next year. We started Jackson Mann and Garrett Addy and Lyndon Galt the other night as sophomores, and you know they'll have 2 more years to play. And they were part of our really successful JV team. We played Cale Coates and Hunter Mann up front all year as 10th graders, and you know, so now they have a year under their belt, and those 2 are going to be excellent football players as we move forward. And all of those guys are. And you hate to keep beating the same drum, but I think it's important. All of those guys are excellent students and great human beings. Just people you're proud to wear your Lawrence shirt, you know, anywhere. And so we got a lot of those younger guys coming back. Corrado Ray, who ended up doing really well for us at running back and some other positions. Will Tinsley is an excellent wide receiver that's back. Whereas last year, going into this year, we didn't really return hardly anybody. You know, other than Troy and Ryan and Deontay, there were a few that had playing experience. Aaron McLeod. Defensively, Tyrese Moses had played linebacker. We didn't return any defensive linemen. In our secondary, Devon Richmond had played some, and Braylon Williams, and that was about it. Next year, we returned just about everybody. Up front, we'll have 3 out of the 5 linemen. 2 starting wideouts, a running back that started for us, a quarterback that started for us all year for 2 years. And then defensively, all of the linemen that started against Northwestern will be back. One of the linebackers, 2 of the secondary guys. So, you know, we'll certainly be a lot more experienced team moving forward. And, you know, Coach Dooley used to tell me all the time when we were at Greenwood, he said, son, tell me how many 10th graders you're starting and I'll tell you how many losses you're going to have. And there's a lot of truth in that, and because there's a big difference between a 15-year-old and an 18, 19-year-old. physically, mentally, everything. And so we've got a ton of talent coming back, which really gives you a reason to be excited. And then again, a lot of kids off of that JV team, Rat Peak. It's going to be an excellent football player, Mark McGowan. Some of these guys probably could have played on Friday night this year. And then there's a lot of talented kids in our 9th grade program too that will not play a down of JV football, that will go straight to varsity. So again, I could mention all those names, but I'd forget somebody, and whoever's watching this would get mad, so I'm not going to. But there's a lot of talent coming back, and a lot of really, really, really good kids that are fun to coach. And I think that's the most exciting thing. Is as bad as it was at times this year, our guys were awesome to work with. And our coaching staff never had a day where we just dreaded to go to practice. And that's what helps you keep going, when you're struggling a little bit. So, and I don't see that changing for the very near future, because there's a lot of those kind of guys that are just fun to work with, and you don't have to worry about what they're doing outside of the field. And that's exciting.
Coach, we appreciate you being here. Want to let all the fans know that you'll be back in the springtime with us, hopefully.
Sure.
And we'll be doing some additional things with our video coverage next year. We'll be interviewing some players, and we'll be doing more game highlights and other things with the program next year. So we're excited about that.
We are,
just like you're excited about the future of the program.
Yeah.
And
we start with lifting weights Monday. So, but that's when we got to get better. We got to get stronger. And so we're excited.
Sounds great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Appreciate it.